When I was in my 20s, I didn't pay much attention to my day job. Instead, I felt that I would be able to start a business and become rich that way. Now, over a decade later, and several businesses later, let me tell you how very wrong I was. I have since lost enough money to put down on a flat deposit. And had I changed my mindset back then and thought differently, I guarantee I would have much more money now than I do. More recently, however, I have shifted my perspective and I am now using the money I make in my day job in my 9 to 5 to make myself rich. And hopefully in a few years, I will be financially independent. I've put this very short presentation together to help you understand the steps you need to take in order to actually become rich. And it's less harder than you think. The first thing that I want you to do is to shift your mindset around money. Stop telling yourself that you'll never be rich. If you keep telling yourself you'll never be rich, you'll never do the things needed in order to ensure that you will be rich. And the second thing you need to do is stop telling yourself that it's all about luck, that people who are rich got lucky, or that they may have won the lottery. That couldn't be further from the truth. There are literally a set of steps you can take right now while working a 9 to 5 to ensure that 10 years from now, you will have enough money. So in this video, I am going to show you exactly what you need to do. The third thing you need to do is start telling yourself that you will be rich, and it can be attainable within a few years if you start putting into practice what I'm about to teach you today. And finally, you want to understand that the way to get rich is to ultimately have your money working for you. And again, I will help you understand this over the next couple of slides. Once you have successfully changed your mindset around money, which takes time and it will come through habit formation, you need to make smart money choices. And this, I guess, will help you shift your mindset around money. Firstly, I want you to stop spending on unnecessary things and experiences. Look, we live in a world where every single reel on TikTok is secretly an ad, where every reel on Instagram is basically an ad, where you walk down the street and you get bombarded with ads. Everywhere you look is an ad. And those ads are trying to get you to spend money on things that you just don't need. So what you need to do is stop spending money on things you just don't need. Cut down on your wardrobe. You don't need 1,000,000 different colors of clothing. You don't need 100 different trainers to match every single outfit. Cut down on the holidays. You don't need luxury, lavish, 5-star holidays. Cut down on things you don't need and appreciate the things that you already have. That is step 1. Step 2, stop taking out loans to buy things you can't afford right now. One of the worst types of loans is car loans. I see too many people taking out loans for £500, even £700 a month on a car. And their justification? Oh, well, it comes with the maintenance, so if anything happens, I don't need to spend more money. Well, guess what? My car cost me £3,500. It's a 2010 Vauxhall Corsa. If anything major happens to it, it's not going to cost me several £1,000s to repair. It's very cheap to maintain. The insurance is cheap. The fuel economy is pretty good because it's a small car. If I literally had to buy another new car, it would cost me again £3,500. I am not spending £7,000 on a car or even £8,000 on a car per year with the justification that if something goes wrong, I will be covered. Buy the minimum car that you need and do not spend more than is absolutely necessary. Now, what also ties into this are schemes like buy now, pay later. So companies such as Klarna, where you can buy now and pay back over the course of the next 3 months with little to no interest. If you cannot afford it now and you do not need it, then do not buy it. The same is true for your car. If you cannot afford it outright, do not buy it. And if you can afford it outright, what is the opportunity cost of that? You need to understand that. So if you cannot buy it right now, you're not spending the next 3 months purchasing it. You're simply not buying it. You're waiting until you can afford to buy it. That is what you need to do. So, stop doing these things, but start keeping track of everything that you spend. You can do this through your phone's banking app. There are apps that you can download on Android or iOS, or you can simply use an old school Excel spreadsheet. Keep track of your money. It is your hard-earned money. Keep track of where it is going and why you do not have as much saved as you would like. I guarantee you're probably spending money on subscriptions that you may not need. Maybe you've got an Amazon Prime subscription and a Netflix subscription and a YouTube Premium subscription and whatever other subscription. You probably don't need all of them. Learn to live with just a few. I'm not saying you have to do this forever. Do it for a couple of months, a couple of years, right? That's all you need. You just need to sacrifice a short amount of time now to benefit the rest of your life in a much bigger way. Alright, so start keeping track of all of your money and then start taking control of how you spend your money. So once you know where all of your money is going, all of these little purchases that you make that suddenly add up into something much bigger, start taking control of how you spend your money. Stop falling for all of these advertisements and TikTok reels and, TikTok made me buy it and all of this crap. It's your money, right? That should be in your control. Your money is not at the mercy of some random TikTok reel telling you to buy something that is absolutely rubbish and you don't need. Take control of where your money is going. And finally, pay down your debts. If you have a car loan, if you have any other type of loan that isn't a mortgage, pay those down and pay them down fast. Start off with the high interest debts and then work your way down to the lower interest debts. That's if you have multiple debts. You want to have a life where you do not have debts. And I know it's easier in some countries than others, but if you do have debts, you want to do what you can to get out of them as quickly as possible. So finally, I told you I'd keep this short. How do you get rich like the rich? Well, firstly, stop complaining that the rich don't pay their fair share of taxes. Instead, do what they do. They're not hiding it from you. For example, in the US, you have a Roth IRA. In the UK, you've got stocks and shares, ISAs. These aren't secrets, right? They're out there in the open. Any one of us can go and open one. So use them to your advantage. Stop complaining that the rich are making investments that are tax-free and do the damn same. Make investments that are tax-free. And once you have these investment accounts, what I want you to do is do what the rich do. Now, I mentioned earlier that I started several businesses and lost money. Believe me, starting a business, a very real business, is incredibly difficult, regardless of what these gurus would have you think. It is incredibly hard. But what is easier is taking the money that you earn and putting it into an already successful business and watching your money grow. The rich make their money by owning businesses. Jeff Bezos didn't make his money by working a 9-to-5. He made his money by owning Amazon, which in turn bought other companies. Elon Musk didn't get rich by working a 9-to-5. He got rich by starting and selling multiple companies, and he now owns multiple companies. The same is true for Mark Zuckerberg, and now look at Nvidia and Jensen Huang. Jensen has got rich by owning shares of Nvidia, right? By owning shares in his company. The company is now making so much money that they are starting an M&A department in order to buy more companies and increase the company's worth. This is what you need to do with your own money. You need to behave like the rich do. You need to use these tax-free accounts to buy companies, to buy successful companies, to buy companies that are growing. This is what I teach on this channel, how to invest your money in ISAs, in index funds, or even in individual companies. This is a much better way of growing your wealth while working a 9-to-5 without having to risk much money at all. There is always a risk with investing, but there is a lot less risk with investing in index funds, for example, and there's certainly less risk with investing versus spending your money on things that you don't need. There's definitely less risk of losing your money there. Now, before I finish the video, I want to show you one more thing. And this is the power of compound interest, which is a secret that the rich use to build their wealth to unimaginable levels. What you see here is a compound interest calculator. Now, what I've put into this section here on the left is simple. Starting with an initial investment of 0, that is an account balance of 0, and making a monthly contribution of £500 a month, so that is the equivalent of a car payment a month. If you put that money in to a Nasdaq 100 ETF, right, which tracks the Nasdaq 100, over the past 20 years, you will have got a growth of, on average, 15.6%. That is 15.6% on average growth for the past 20 years. So I'm taking that average, I've put it down as 14.5%, but it actually gives a compounded rate of 15.5%, as you can see here. 15.5% there. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? You do this for 10 years, and only 10 years. Now let's say you're 25, you want to buy a nice car that costs around £60,000. Yeah? Well, what happens if you do this for 10 years? Well, in 10 years, you will have invested £60,000, the cost of that car you really want to buy and cannot wait to buy until you can actually afford it. But here's where it gets interesting, because over those 10 years, you will have earned more than that. You will have earned £73,500, bringing your investment value to £133,500. So by waiting 10 years, instead of buying literally any car on finance, you can buy almost any car you want outright in cash 10 years later. Instead of buying that Tesla Model 3 on finance and having a finance car for the next 10 years, 10 years down the line, you could literally have a supercar if you want to and pay out in cash. Now, let's take this one step further. And let's say you did this for 20 years, right? So if you did this for 20 years, your investment value would be worth £700,000. You would have put in 120 grand in investment, but it would be worth almost £700,000. So if you're 25, you could be looking to retire at 45, because think about it. If this investment now went up by 10%, you're looking at 70 grand right there. You could literally decide to work part-time if you want at 45. I mean, by then, AI might have taken all of our jobs, but at least you would be pretty set for life by then. This is the power of investing and waiting just a little bit longer to get what you want. This is how you get rich, by working a 9 to 5. Use the habits and take the habits of the rich and apply it to your own life. If you got any value from this, please leave a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think can learn from this. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.